See some of these ticket prices for the World Series, like $1,400, $1,000. That's like a mortgage payment. So do you want to pay your house mortgage or go to the Yankee game? Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, the World Series is underway, but unfortunately the Yankees find themselves in a 3-1 hole, with Game 5 scheduled to be in the Bronx for the Yankees for an opportunity to at least win more game and get the series back to LA, and that should be the Yankees' goal at this point. But looking back at this episode of the first 4 games of the series, kind of some of the moves that Boone made that you might want to consider and reconsider. A lot of controversy, especially in that first game there, so we'll look at all this stuff, all the highs and lows of the Yankees up to this point of the series, and where I think it will be moving forward. So we'll get started soon, but before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast version of the show, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Hopefully, throughout this entire playoff series, the Royal Series, the Guardian Series, and now in the World Series, getting the updates after each individual game. That's why you want to be a podcast subscriber, plus other news and notes and other cool things to add there. And plus, at some point, whether the Yankees win or lose, not looking too good. We have a whole offseason ahead of us, so a lot of decisions be made regarding Juan Soto, Gleyber Torres. Do you want to bring Boone back? Maybe you don't want to after that game 1, which we'll get into. So a lot of decisions, a lot of stuff to discuss, so make sure you're an audio podcast subscriber. And of course, if you're just watching right now on YouTube, you should have done it already. Smash, like Giancarlo Stanton, smash the subscribe button. Be a subscriber there as well. And if you're happy watching on TV, flip it around 2 in the morning. I've had people tell me that you're like, hey, I like the show, I want to get it more. Well, you can get it on your phone, you can get it on your laptop, you can get the digital versions. Go to YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and of course, as I mentioned before, the audio podcast, get the whole World Series of stuff. So in the last episode, when we had the World Series preview, I did predict that the Dodgers would win in 6 games. Well, it seems like that could be possible. Not that I'm looking to pat myself on the back like that. But the reason, again, really quickly, just why I felt the Dodgers had the advantage. Obviously, they're probably slightly incremental better than the Yankees. The fact that they had a tougher road to get here and going through the San Diego and the Mets, I mean, they had a much tougher time getting here versus the Yankees. I'm not saying the Royals were a joke, but again, not as much pressure going against the Royals and the Guardians versus what the Dodgers had to go through. And then it just got to the point, this way their offense seemed to be clicking, and they actually bludgeoned the Mets. So they're coming in hot. And if you might think that the cross-country travel or the climate and the environment would phase them, well, again, they've been doing the cross-country stuff with the Mets for a couple of weeks, plus playing games in Citi Field there with a rabid New York crowd as well. And, of course, a little chilly, and again, not a brutal fall cold as you would normally think. But still, you figure some things that might be an advantage for a New York team, not really there because the Dodgers just freshly played the Mets. And last but not least, again, not against the gambling stuff, but all the betting lines were favoring the Dodgers for the series. So all those things being considered, I felt the Dodgers did have the edge in the series, and I figured, I had to take my Yankee fandom out of it, and I had to get some flack for it. But again, I had to just be straight up saying that yes, I felt the Dodgers would win the series. Probably in 6. I didn't think it would be a sweep, but I think it would be hard for the Yankees to win the series, especially also the Dodgers being the home team, having the first 2 games in their building, and if need be, the last 2 games in the building. And as we saw in Game 1, how important it is that if I have those final at bats via the Freddie Freeman grand slam to walk off there, to have those final at bats in the playoffs are crucial, and the Dodgers had more of that. So for all those things, I felt the Dodgers would win the series, but as I mentioned before, we still have a Game 5 to be played, and of course, let's see if the Yankees can keep this thing going. Not going to go crazy out with any type of comeback talk. It's just way early. Now, as for the Yankees themselves with the roster, little questionable move. Obviously, probably the one that raised the eyebrow most was not Stroman, but Nestor Cortes being added to the roster. The guy hasn't pitched really in over a month, and you figure, well, you kind of have a long guy with Stroman. Now, you never really had to use Stroman before, but why you have Stroman and Nestor, 2 guys there? So it was a little puzzling there, but going in and kind of you figure, this was going to come up. Boone was looking at some of the numbers. So Nestor had some great success against Ohtani. Ohtani at that point, before the series started, was only 2 for 12 lifetime against Nestor Cortes. So I'm sure Boone looked at those numbers, and it's the fact that Nestor, he doesn't seem, be phased. He won't be overwhelmed by it. So even if he had pitched in several weeks, he's a guy you kind of throw in there. So I can understand Boone's thinking that way. And a couple of seasons ago, I just remember watching, it was one of the Angel games when Ohtani with the Angels came here. Nestor had a game where he might have given him a golden sombrero or just struck him out 3 times. I mean, it made Ohtani look foolish. So I'm sure that was in Boone's memory bank when he decided to add Nestor to the World Series roster. And the other thing that was eye-raising, it was no John Birdie. Now, Birdie had been, pretty good for the Yankees, substituting there, whether they had to play him at first base, using him as a pinch run. You might say, wait, where's John Birdie? Where is it? Especially with Rizzo with the fractured fingers, they not really 100% himself. Turns out he did injure his hip. Now, you will see Birdie loves those head-first slides. Unfortunately, it seems like he strained his hip during the Cleveland series there, so now he would be unavailable for the Yankees. That's kind of a big blow to the Yankees. I don't say a huge blow, but kind of a blow because you were depending on that guy for speed off the bench, or if you're in a fix, he could play almost every infield position, and they had been playing him at first base, and he botched a few balls, but overall doing pretty good. I guess, using those hockey skills there at first base. So the Yankees had that disadvantage going in, against them. So, and obviously, DJ LeMahieu, no way he was going to be added to the postseason roster. Of course, that, and, now the Yankees did have the backup plan. You figure the backup plan for first base would be Oswaldo Cabrera, but again, that's the only guy you would be able to play at first base there. So entering this thing, the Yankees were just at a little disadvantage just because they didn't have a key weapon of John Birdie. So game one underway, and this game one will probably be the most controversial of all, especially if the Yankees end up losing the series, because this is one where you almost really place the blame on the manager. And again, if you've been watching the show the past couple of years, I'm not being one of these guys of fire the manager, fire Cashman, fire Boone, fire this guy. And yes, a lot of times it is about the players on the field, but again, a couple of decisions in this game you really have to question. And I mentioned before, if the Yankees end up losing the series because they almost gave away this first game, you have to wonder, would they want to bring back Aaron Boone for that? Again, a couple of blunders in this game. But he got a good start for the Yankees with Garrett Cole against Jack Flaherty, the Dodgers starter there. Now, they went toe-to-toe here, and I mentioned that, before the series started, the Yankees probably had the edge with the pitching a little bit. But you probably didn't expect that the Dodgers would pitch just as good as the Yankees, and that's something the Yankees would find out throughout the rest of the series. But the two of them went toe-to-toe and for two big offenses, this wasn't exactly a scoring fest, and the Yankees were down early 1-0. But Garrett Cole was dealing. It was actually looking like a much better version of himself, definitely a better version of himself than we saw during the Guardians and his first start against the Royals. So you were getting a good start from Garrett Cole, your ace, on the road, game one. Everything was going the Yankees' way, and eventually the Yankees would crack through. Now, I never thought you can't keep depending on Stanton to hit home runs every single game. I mean, pretty much that's what he did during the Cleveland series. You can't expect that. Well, hey, he proved me wrong with that one. Flaherty with a runner on. Kind of was battling. Now, Stanton fell behind 0-2, and again, I always say that he seems like he baits these pitches, and he'll swing at two lousy pitches, and then he locks in, and then he'll lay off some tough ones, and he fouls a few back, and then he got a breaking ball down the middle there that didn't break right, and Stanton deposited way deep into the LA night. I mean, he didn't even move there at home plate. He knew it right away, shocked the crowd, and turned the Yankee deficit to a 2-1 lead there. And from there, you're kind of pitching yourself, wait, is this happening? Because Cole kept dealing. But then, unfortunately, seventh, and this is going to be one of the Boone blunders that people are going to talk about. Now, yes, he gave up a leadoff hit to Teoscar Hernandez, but Cole wasn't like struggling. I mean, he was only at 88 pitches, which I know it's a different world now. You got to watch these pitches, the pitch counts, but 80 is not like that, not a lot, and it wasn't like he was struggling really. I mean, it really was only the first inning where he got hit hard, really 4 times there, and you almost got to count your blessings. He got at him, and Ohtani and Betts took him deep to the wall there. But from the second inning on, I mean, Cole was rolling. I mean, he looked like just as good as ever there. And then, okay, he gives up a leadoff hit in the 7th, and then Boone decides to take him out after 88 pitches, and that's going to get people wondering why. I mean, Cole wasn't struggling. You see his body language. It's not like he wanted to come out. Sometimes you see a pitcher struggling, he kind of like doesn't want to say, but his eyes like, yeah, please take me out. I stink tonight. It wasn't like that at all. And again, the sooner you take him out, that means you have to go to the guys early. You have to go to Clay Holmes early. You have to go Canely early, and then you're probably going to have to go to Luke Weaver that much earlier than you want to when you do that versus leave Cole in. Maybe if it gives you 7 innings, or even gets you into eighth inning, and that's you can push the your A-list type of relievers back a little bit more. But unfortunately, Boone takes him out. Now Holmes came in, hit one guy, got it out, but eventually Canely had to come in and clean up the mess. So Canely got out of the mess there. But again, not a good decision by Boone, again, because Cole had a little bit more with him, but luckily it didn't cost the Yankees at that point. It wasn't until the 9th inning with Canely ended up giving up a double to Ohtani there. If he would get himself in scoring position, Betts would knock him in with a sacrifice fly, and the Dodgers tied that game at 2-2. And you just had a bad feeling in your gut. The Yankees had it right there at 2-1, and if they could again finished it out there in the 9th inning, it would have been a great win for the Yankees. This would have been kind of a gut-wrenching type of win that the Yankees had, in games 4 and 5 against Cleveland. This was shaping up that time of game, but again, these Dodger hitters, again, with one swing of the bat of Ohtani there, that's a great player, unfortunately. But again, the Yankees would get another opportunity in the 10th inning there. Jazz, who, again, hitting-wise has not been great this postseason there, but gets a single and shows some of the speed, some of the reason why the Yankees bought him here, ends up stealing 2 bases, puts himself at third base, and then Volpe with a little infield chopper there to score, to get him in there and bring the score for the Yankees lead 3-2. And again, you're pitching yourself, oh my God, is this happening? Are we really doing this? Again, this is looking like a classic Yankee game, a classic playoff game, and it seemed like the Yankees had a bunch of those already getting to this point, and this looked like just another one. And everything was going the Yankees' way, the Yankees formula. You got good pitching, good bullpen work, not perfect, but at least good enough there, and you were holding the offense, the Dodgers offense down. So everything you wanted was going your way in this game, and just like that, poof, it was gone. Now, they had to bring Cousins out to start the bottom of the 10th because already Weaver had thrown 2 pitches. He did get the first out, but after that started to struggle, ended up walking a guy, and again, when you give up walks in the playoffs, it just kills you. I mean, you go back, I mentioned a bunch of times with the Yankees, you look at the game 1 against the Mets, Paul O'Neill versus Armando Benitez. What does Paul O'Neill do? Leads off with a walk, and then from there, it's a disaster, and unfortunately, this will work this way to that. Now, they had a decision to make with a couple of runners on, Ohtani up. All right, do you bring in a lefty such as Tim Hill, who's been great for the Yankees at this point? He's a veteran. He's been, again, pitching throughout this whole postseason. Or what Boone decided to do is go with Nestor Cortez. And I mentioned at the top of the episode, Nestor, had a lot of success for Ohtani. Ohtani was only 2 for 12 lifetime against Nestor, and that's probably what Boone was thinking at the time. But of course, that's the second big questionable decision Boone made for this game. Why would you bring in a guy who hasn't pitched in a month? And not only pitched in a month, you're throwing him right into the fire. I mean, a World Series game, bottom of the 10th inning against Ohtani. I mean, wouldn't you rather go with Tim Hill, who's at least, maybe he walks the ballpark, maybe hits Ohtani in the hip and gives up. But again, Tim Hill's been pitching so far throughout this whole postseason, and he's been pretty good for the Yankees. So why would you not go with him? Decide to go with Nestor. Now, to Boone's credit, and maybe Nestor's credit, they do get Ohtani out. He pops out to left field. Again, Verdugo had to kind of dive in the crowd a little bit, a la Derek Jeter. But then after this is probably the third questionable Aaron Boone decision you have to make. With Mookie Betts up, you have 2 outs. Now you have a decision here. You got a man at first and second. Even if Betts gets a hit, yes, technically could he hit a 3-run home run and get a walk-off win? Yes, that could happen. But with a bag open, even if he gets a single, at worst, he's going to tie the game at 3-3. And then maybe from there, you walk somebody, you load the bases up, and hope for a double play somehow to get you, or force at any base to get you out of the inning. Unfortunately, they decided to put the 4 fingers up, intentionally walk Mookie Betts, which, again, made no sense at all, because now you're loading the bases up against Freddie Freeman. Now, Freddie Freeman was hobbled against the Mets in that series, had gone like 40 at-bats without a home run, looked terrible, looked like he had 1 leg. Still, even with that mind, he is Freddie Freeman, he is a great player, he has World Series experience, and you're giving Nestor Cortez no margin for error. What if Nestor walks him? What if Nestor spikes a ball and a runner comes in? What if Nestor accidentally hits him? I mean, now the bags are juiced on purpose there. So that decision made no sense. It made more sense just to go after Mookie Betts and just hope for the best. Betts could maybe beat the ball into the ground. Maybe Betts strikes out. Maybe Betts pops it up and you get out of the inning and you get out of there with a 3-2 great victory. And unfortunately, first pitch right down the middle, a cookie, and Freeman crushes it into the night, a la Kirk Gibson. You knew right away off the bat there. And then they come off with a dramatic walk-off grand slam, 6-3 win for the Dodgers there. The first walk-off grand slam in World Series history. And just a brutal loss for the Yankees because you had the game at 2-1 late, then you had the game again at 3-2 late, and then they had a situation where 2 outs, bag open against Mookie Betts. You could have pitched them, and you probably would have gotten out of the game, and you would have gotten a Game 1 win. And with all that in mind, Yankees blow it, and of course you look back at the decision, taking Cole out as early as he did just to start the Yankee bullpen train a little bit early there. So really 3 bad decisions by Boone. I can't kill him with the Nestor one because that one actually worked, and I can understand the numbers with that. But Tim Hill, even though, yes, the Nestor thing worked out, was the better decision to make. Again, he has that funky delivery. Maybe he would have been better off against Boone. So I'm better off against Betts there in that situation. So bad game, bad loss, but I put that one more on Boone than the players. Which then brings us to Game 2, which really Yankees were out of totally. I mean, Carlos Rodon made the start. Now, what we find out afterwards, he was actually dealing with a blister issue on his finger, which is preventing him from throwing his breaking stuff. So he mainly had to go with the fastball, and at that point, it became predictable. Now, he served up a home run early on to Tommy Edman, but then later on, we get tattooed back-to-back by Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez. I mentioned Teoscar Hernandez just eats the Yankees alive. He's always done that his whole career, now doing it as a Los Angeles Dodger. And your Yankees really had no opportunity in this game. They did get one hit hit a home run early on against Yamamoto, and that would be Juan Soto. But from there, the Yankees didn't get their second hit of the game until the 9th inning. So Yamamoto in there didn't give them much length, only went 5 innings, was absolutely untouchable. The Yankees couldn't do anything against them, and the Yankees were really down 4-1 early on and kind of sleptwalked their way to the 9th inning. Now, finally in the 9th inning, the Yankees did get to them a little bit, get to their bullpen, would mount a little bit of a comeback rally there to close the score within 4-2 there, and then be in a situation with 2 outs, bases loaded with an opportunity to either tie or even go ahead in the game. So you had a situation where the Yankees were pretty much sleepwalking through 8 and 2/3 of innings there, then mounted up a little bit of rally there where at the point score is only 4-2, but again, one swing of the bat could have tied the game or put the Yankees ahead. Now this was another decision. Not going to kill Boone too much for this one as much as his game 1 decisions there, but had a situation with Wells up against a lefty there. Now, I understand lefty versus lefty. You want to bring up a right-handed hitter. You figure that gives you a better opportunity against a lefty pitcher. But in that situation, I did not like pinch hitting Trevino for Wells in that situation. Now, yeah, not that Wells has been tearing the cover off the ball, but Wells has been hot. He's been fresh. He's been playing all these games. I know he looks a bit beat up. He hasn't given you much, but it's tough to ask Trevino, who hasn't played since like Game 3 of the Cleveland series. Guy's been ice cold. It was all of a sudden now just come off the bench and get a big hit in a situation like that. I did not like the call there. I would much rather just take my chance with Wells. He's fresh, he's hot, and again, we've seen him hit some left-handed pitching, so I think he could have handled it. He probably would have made out anyway, but I did not like the matchup in that situation to bring up Trevino as a pinch hitter. We don't know him as a pinch hitter extraordinaire. Let's just say DJ LeMahieu was DJ LeMahieu and going well, stuff like that. Okay, that would be a situation like you put a DJ LeMahieu type of player in there. I would not want to put a Trevino catcher in that situation, and you have to swap 1-1 there. If you're going to take out the catcher, you got to put in the catcher for his defensive replacement there. Now, to Trevino's credit, he put a good swing on the ball, and for half a second, you thought maybe it was going to go out, and it would have been a great grand slam to sort of stick one back to them after they had a grand slam on the Yankees there, but unfortunately fell short, just a fly out to center field, and the Yankees lose Game 2 by a score of 4-2. And you look, hey, it was close. It was 4-2. This game was not as close as the score looked. I mean, it was 4-1 early, and that was pretty much it the rest of the way. Yes, they mounted that little comeback in the 9th inning there, but it looked like it was just worlds apart. I mean, these two teams, again, the Yankees just came to life a little bit, but the game was further apart than a 4-2 score, and now at this point, the Yankees are down 0-2 in the series, which you do not want. When you're on the road, you at least want to win one of the games there, and then bring it back to your house because you have the next 3 at home there, and then maybe get a little bit of momentum and take the lead. But now the Yankees go 0-2 like they did against the 96 Atlanta Braves, and they have the situation where now they need a little bit of a miracle comeback to get back in the series. So the series shifted from LA to the Bronx, and this is why it was so crucial that the Yankees had that first game, because the Dodgers were going to give the Yankees a couple of wins here in this one. Number one, because one of the games you knew was going to be a bullpen game, because they have a lack of starters, and that's been the problem there. So you knew you had that one win in your back pocket, and possibly even 2 wins, with one of the starters being Walker Buehler, who he pitched decently against the Mets, but if you look at his record going in, at least during the regular season, 1-6 with an ERA almost close to 6 there. So you almost would pencil those 2 wins in right before the series started. And if Cole and you could have won that Game 1, that make some bad decisions there, you would almost have 3 wins there right in a row. But unfortunately, they blow the Game 1 opportunity there, and then find themselves in 0-2 hole. Okay, if you figure maybe you can make up these 2 games there, but the Yankees did not take advantage of the Game 3 starter, Walker Buehler, who absolutely shut them down. Now, on the other side, the Yankees had Clark Schmidt, who, again, he gave the Yankees a decent start against the Royals, gave the Yankees a decent start against the Guardians, was able to complete 5 innings, but at least good enough to keep the score down, at least give the Yankees an opportunity to win the game. Unfortunately, he did not give the opportunity for the Yankees in this one. Now, again, he wasn't absolutely garbage, but when you give up a first inning 2-run home run to Freddie Freeman there, just takes the crowd right out of it. And now for Freeman, 3 home runs in a row in a World Series game against the Yankees there, and just you could almost heard a pin drop after that. Rain was coming down a little bit, on and off a little bit, but one of the advantages of being home is having a Yankee Stadium crowd, having the fans behind you. Figure maybe that could shift the momentum. But Freddie Freeman just took a pin drop. You could hear a pin drop after that home run there, and the Yankees almost never really recovered after that. And on the other side, Walker Buehler, you thought maybe the Yankees could cuff him up a little bit. They shut the Yankees down, similar to what Yamamoto did in Game 2. And this score, you look at the final score, again, same thing as you saw Game 2 by a score of 4-2, but this game wasn't even close, and I'll kind of break down some of these key moments there, with the Yankees only down by 2-0 there. Betts fights off a couple of tough pitches there, had a pop fly into the first base, as they say, the hole there. Rizzo, unfortunately, not able to make the play. At the time, you think that's not really a big deal, but actually it was there, because with a runner on, Betts able to fight off a tough pitch, dunks it into shallow right field. Soto had no play on it, and Edman read the ball right off the bat, able to score, puts the Dodgers ahead 3-0, and it almost, at that point, might have seemed like 10-0, because again, it's the way the Yankees bats were going down 1-2-3. Now, the Yankees tried a little bit of a comeback, had a little bit of a rally going in the fourth inning themselves, and this is another questionable call, but not really on Boone, but third base coach Luis Rojas. You have Stanton at second base. We all know the situation with him. He's slow as Frankenstein, plus they tell him don't run, because if he runs hard, he might tear his knee and calf and Achilles, so he lumbers there. Now, Volpe with a hot shot to left field there. Now, when the ball's hit hard, you know the fielder's going to be able to throw it in there. If it's a slow hit to left field or kicks around out there in the corner, that's when you send a runner. But especially with Stanton, because you know he has had no speed. But it was a hot shot to left field there. Everyone in the world knew Stanton could not score there, but they send Stanton anyway, which made no sense. Easily a dead duck at home, and I understand the Yankees are struggling to score runs and stuff like that, and you want a little bit of momentum, but a really bad move by Rojas to send him there, because otherwise you would have had first and third with an opportunity, maybe one swing at that point, you're only down 3-0, could have tied the game, or at least maybe you could have got a runner in with a hit there, but nevertheless, the Yankees run themselves out of that inning there, thrown out at home. Now, I know the replay made it look a little closer than it was, but he was a dead duck the whole way. As soon as he turned third base, you knew he was done, and so it was a bad decision by Rojas to send that. So now you have the managers making mistakes, but now the third base coach making a mistake. And then, of course, the Dodgers add another run with a Kike Hernandez. RBI hits, scores Lux from second base. Again, Judge made a very strong throw, and the replay made it seem closer than it was, but Lux scores easily. And now the Yankees behind 4-0. It just seems monumental. And the Dodgers defensively were making all the plays on the infield. Betts was making plays. He was diving in, catching balls. He was running away, stealing doubles there, sliding catches. I meant the full thing there. I mean, you just look at both organizations, and they just look worlds apart. It almost gave me that feeling after Game 4 against the Houston Astros, after the Yankees got swept there, where you felt the Yankees had no business being on the same field as the Astros. Well, at the end of Game 3, you felt the Yankees had no business at all being in this World Series against this Dodgers team. They just seemed superior to the Yankees in almost every other way. It looked like almost like two organizations, again, completely, one up down, one down here. And it's almost like, you don't even feel good about the World Series. I mean, even if you get in the World Series, you lose. All right, we gave it a shot. We fought hard. But after Game 3, it would left such a bad taste in the mouth. It almost feels like, the World Series ain't worth it, and you didn't want to be in the World Series after that. Now, same as the Yankees did in Game 2. The Yankees scored finally a couple of runs in the ninth inning there. Got a runner on there. Verdugo finally going yard, hits a 2-run home run to bring the score within 4-2. It may look, hey, wow, it was a close game, 4-2, but the game was not as close as the score it was, 4-2. It's same in Game 2. I mean, again, these two organizations look world apart. The Yankees at this point fall behind 0-3. And not only that, but of course you see Judge still struggling, can't get it going in this postseason. He's not. They didn't really shower him the boos as bad as they did 2 years ago during the Houston series, but kind of getting close to that. He just looks absolutely lost. The only really good thing the Yankees had going for them a little bit was the fact that the series was moving back to the Bronx, but now they blow this opportunity. And in that second game, Ohtani did hurt his shoulder there, sliding into second base. Turned out to be a partially dislocated shoulder. Now you think maybe be hurt a little bit. Was back the next day, but he's not going to be 100%. So again, the Yankees had a couple of advantages going for them. You have Walker Buehler, who's someone you should tack to. You're at home. You're the Yankees. You got your fans. Ohtani's not 100%. All these things, but all that didn't matter because Game 3 was completely dominated by the Dodgers. And at this point, for the Yankees and the fans, you're just totally beaten down. Looks like you're going to get swept. But the good thing, again, the Dodgers were going to give the Yankees a win. I mentioned one of the games was going to be the bullpen game, where if you can't win that, then just pack it in. You don't even deserve it. And and the Yankees, had an opportunity where they almost lost this game, but nevertheless, the Yankee bats finally broke out. So this was the Yankees breaking free moment. It was mainly the young guns, and I guess we'll call this maybe the Anthony Volpe game. Now, the game that started off great, Luis Hill on the mound, who pitched decently enough in the Guardians, the one game they gave him. But again, he hasn't gotten a lot of work. He hasn't actually been too sharp. And unfortunately, Freddie Freeman, again, I don't know why you keep pitching this guy, tattooed the Yankees for an early 2-0 lead, a home run to right field there. And this, in terms of history, the first player to hit a home run in the first 4 games of the series. I don't know why they keep pitching the guy, but again, the Yankees down 2-0 before you knew it. And you're almost about to just pack it in, forget it. This team's going to lose. They're going to get swept. It's embarrassing. But Anthony Volpe finally stepped up, said no. So the young Yankee shortstop there, hopefully a future star for the Yankees there, stepping up in this game, getting on with the hit, stealing a base, putting himself in scoring position. Now Verdugo would get him in with a ground ball out, at least to give the Yankees put a run on the board to answer back the Dodgers 2-1. But Volpe would answer in the third with the bags juiced, hitting a grand slam. So the Yankees getting a grand slam of their own, put the Yankees ahead by 5-2. And it was really the only point of the series so far up to that point where the Yankees had a little bit of breathing room. You feel good about yourself. felt yourself good about yourself a little bit, again, in the 9th and 10th inning of game one. But even with a one-run score on the road, you still don't feel comfortable because, the other team, of course, the Dodgers offense, they could just score in a blink like that. Now you actually feel good about yourself with a 5-2 lead, but unfortunately, Luis Gil couldn't give that Yankees that much. They tried to bring him out for the 5th there, but he couldn't even get it out. They had to yank him out. So his 4 innings of work, he was charged with 4 runs because the Dodgers would put a few runs on the board themselves, close the score within 5-4. But then it was the other young guy, Austin Wells, finally stepping up big, hitting a home run there to give the Yankees a little bit more breathing room at 6-4. And then later on in the 8th inning, the bottom of the 8th inning, the Yankees absolutely teed off, would score a total of 11 runs total for the game, capped off by a 3-run home run by Gleyber Torres. So it was kind of like the old baby bombers and kind of we call the rookie bombers, even though Volpe's technically not a rookie anymore, but it was the young guys. It was Volpe in this game, it was Wells, and it was, of course, Gleyber Torres really putting an exclamation point on this game. Wasn't the big guys. Yes, Judge did get a hit in the 8th inning of this game there, but, it was kind of in garbage time, and, it gets a reliever who's just getting knocked around left to right. They kind of left in there. So I'm not going to say, hey, Judge is back. And so Judge still didn't have his problems, but you got nothing from Stan or Judge or Soto in this game. It was all the young guys to bring this Yankee team to life. And at least you got a little heartbeat at this point, brings it to a game 5, and at that point, you don't know what's going to happen yet. But if you're the Yankees, you don't want to get swept. And, even at this point, when you win game 4, now going up to game 5, I know you got the same pitching rematch of game 1 a little bit, but you almost want to bring this back to LA. And if you lose it out there, fine. But again, you just don't want a situation where the other team celebrates on your field. It's not as embarrassing as losing, getting swept, okay, but you still want to put your stamp on the series a little bit more. So that's what the Yankees have this opportunity right now in this game 5 as we speak. And if they can move it back to LA, then you can maybe talk about, hey, if we take game 6 or game 7, maybe, blah, blah, blah. But you really can't even talk about that yet until you can get the series back to LA because you don't know what's ahead of you. You don't know what's ahead of you in terms of Rendon and the blister. Is he going to be able to pitch through it? Garrett Cole, obviously, I don't think in any way they would bring him back on short rest. I mean, they didn't bring him back on short rest for game 4, which is one of the reasons why you think maybe why Boone wanted to take him out early for game 1, maybe bring him back on short rest. But they kind of mentioned that they're going to go with the 4 starters. And plus, obviously, Cole got off to a bad start of the season, again, with the nerve problem. They had to shut him down. So, why would you... I don't think you would tinker with Cole in that way and bring him back on short rest. So I don't think that's even on the table. But potentially, could he throw an inning or 2 maybe in game 7 if possibly? Yeah, because if the Yankees get to that, which would be, again, another small miracle, as I mentioned, it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck type of game there. So maybe you see Garrett Cole for that. But for game 5, Garrett Cole, he's your ace. Got an opportunity to take it to LA, and let's just see what happens. So if we look at the series at this point, obviously we're only going to get into game 5 right now, but if we want to look at the Yankees so far, who's been doing the job, who's not been doing the job? Well, obviously we know Judge hasn't been hitting at all. Again, his postseason woes continue there, and you can see it is getting to him. But you figure if he just woke up a little bit, or if he was just like half of a good Judge, the Yankees are probably maybe ahead in the series or tied at best. So there is some room for Judge to wake up in the series. He's got 3 games to do it. Let's see if that happens. And if you look at the Yankee pitching, I think they've been doing their job overall. I mean, look at the scores. I know the 6-3 kind of really take into account as much because one of that was a grand slam. But Yankee pitching overall, even if you give up 4 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs. It seems like Yankee pitching hasn't been getting shellacked. The bullpen's not been spectacular. It's just been good enough. It's just the Yankee offense hasn't been picking up. And probably the surprise so far of the series has been that the Dodger pitching, mainly the starters, have been better than the Yankees the pitching. And that's kind of where we figured the Yankees would have the advantage, especially with the starting rotation. But that has been the case. The Dodgers have outpitched the Yankees. And unfortunately, the Yankee offense, not enough to muster to compete with them. So, I'll give the Yankee pitching, give the Yankee arms a pass. They've been doing their job. But if you want to, hand out some Fs and bad grades right now, Boone so far not having a good series managerial-wise, and the Yankee offense overall not doing a good job, mainly Aaron Judge. Soto's been okay early in the series, not as good so far during the home stretch there, but can't blame Soto, can't blame Stanton. But you need some of the younger guys, like we saw with Volpe doing Game 4, some of the young guys, some other guys got to pick up the slack there because you're not getting it for Judge. But if Judge could wake up, then it's a totally different story. So that's the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast version of the show to get the wrap-ups after each game left of the series. Hope it extends a little bit more. But of course, we have the whole offseason after that. So we'll see by next time. Are we celebrating a Yankee championship or are we crying in our beer?